Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my series reading The Adventures of Tom Sawyer as read by Lord Naren White. Without further ado, returning to The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. The slow days drifted on, and each left behind it a slightly lightened weight of apprehension. Chapter 25. There comes a time in every rightly constructed boy's life when he has a raging desire to go somewhere and dig for hidden treasure. This desire suddenly came upon Tom one day. He sallied out to find Joe Harper, but failed of success. Next, he sought Ben Rogers. He had gone fishing. Presently, he stumbled upon Huck Finn, the red-handed. Huck would answer. Tom took him to a private place and opened the matter to him confidentially. Huck was willing. Huck was always willing to take a hand in any enterprise that offered entertainment and required no capital, for he had a troublesome superabundance of that sort of time, which is not money. "Where'll we dig?" said Huck. "Oh, most anywhere." "Why is it hid all around?" "No, indeed it ain't. It's hid in mighty particular places, Huck. Sometimes on islands, sometimes in rotten chests, under the end of a limb on an old dead tree, just where the shadow falls at midnight, but mostly under the floor in haunted houses." "Who hides it?" "Why, robbers, of course. Who do you reckon? Sunday school superintendents?" "I don't know. If it was mine, I wouldn't hide it. I'd spend it and have a good time." "So would I. But robbers don't do that way. They always hide it and leave it there." "Don't they come after it any more?" "No. They think they will. But they generally forget the marks, or else they die. Anyway, it lays there a long time and gets rusty. And by somebody finds an old yellow paper that tells how to find the marks. A paper that's got to be ciphered over about a week, because it's mostly signs and hieroglyphics." "Hieroglyphics. Pictures and things, that don't seem to mean anything." "Have you got one of them papers, Tom?" "No." "Well then, how you going to find the marks?" "I don't want any marks. They always bury it under a haunted house or on an island, or under a dead tree that's got one limb sticking out." "Well, we've tried Jackson's Island a little, and we can try it again sometime. And there's the old haunted house up the Still House branch, and there's lots of dead limb trees. Dead loads of 'em." "Is it under all of them?" "How you talk. No." "Then how you going to know which one to go for?" "Go for all of them." "Why, Tom, it'll take all summer." "Well, what of that? Suppose you find a brass pot with $100 in it, all rusty and gray, or a rotten chest full of diamonds. How's that?" Huck's eyes glowed. "That's bully. Pretty bully enough for me. Just you give me the $100, and I don't want no diamonds." "All right. But I bet you I ain't going to throw off on diamonds. Some of 'em's worth $20 apiece. There ain't any, hardly. But's worth 6 bits or $1. "No. Is that so?" "Certainly. Anybody'll tell you so. Ain't you ever seen one, Huck?" "Not as I remember." "Oh, kings have slathers of them." "Well, I don't know no kings, Tom." "I reckon you don't. But if you was to go to Europe, you'd see a raft of 'em hopping round." "Do they hop?" "Hop? Your granny, no." "Well, what did you say they did for?" "Shucks. I only meant you'd see 'em, not hopping." "Of course. What do they want to hop for?" "But I mean you just see 'em scattered around, in a kind of a general way. Like that old humpbacked Richard." "Richard? What's his other name?" "He didn't have any other name. Kings don't have any but a given name." No, but they don't. Well, if they like it, Tom, all right. But I don't want to be a king and have only just a given name like a Black. But say, where are you going to dig first? Well, I don't know. Suppose we tackle that old dead-limb tree on the hill to the other side of Stillhouse Branch. I'm agreed. So they got a crippled pick and a shovel and set out their 3-mile tramp. They arrived hot and panting and threw themselves down in the shade of a neighboring elm to rest and have a smoke. I like this, said Tom. So do I. Say, Huck, if we find a treasure here, what you going to do with your share? Well, I'll have a pie and a glass of soda every day and go to every circus that comes along. I bet I'll have a gay time. Well, ain't you going to save any of that? Save it? What for? Why, so as to have something to live on by and by. Oh, that ain't any use, Pip. That ain't any use. Pap would come back to this year town some day and get his claws on it if I didn't hurry up. And I tell you he'd clean it out pretty quick. What are you going to do with yourn, Tom? I'm going to buy a new drum and a sure enough sword and a red necktie and a bullpup and get married. Married? That's it. Tom, why you ain't in your right mind. Wait, you'll see. Well, that's the foolish thing you could do. Look at Pap and my mother. Fight. Why, they used to fight all the time. I remember mighty well. That ain't anything. The girl I'm going to marry won't fight. Tom, I reckon they're all alike. They'll all comb a body. Now you better think about this a while. I tell you better. What's the name of that gal? It ain't a gal at all, it's a girl. It's all the same. I reckon. Some says gal, some says girl. Both's right. Like enough. Anyway, what's her name, Tom? I'll tell you some time, not now. All right, that'll do. Only if you get married, I'll be more lonesomer than ever. No, you won't. You'll come and live with me. Now stir out of this, and we'll go to digging. They worked and sweated for half an hour. No result. They toiled another half hour. Still no result. Huck said, Do they always bury it as deep as this? Sometimes. Not always. Not generally, I reckon we haven't got the right place. So they chose a new spot and began again. The labor dragged a little, but still they made progress. They pegged away in silence for some time. Finally Huck leaned on his shovel, swabbed the beaded drops from his brow with his sleeve, and said, Where are you going to dig next? After we get this one? I reckon maybe we'll tackle the old tree that's over yonder, on Cardiff Hill, back of the widow's. I reckon that'll be a good one. But won't the widow take it away from us, Tom? It's still on her land. She take it away. Maybe she'd like to try it once. Whoever finds one of these treasures, one of these hid treasures, it belongs to him. It don't make any difference whose land it's on. That was satisfactory. The work went on. By and by, Huck said, Blame it. We must be in the wrong place again. What do you think? It is mighty curious, Huck. I don't understand it. Sometimes witches interfere. I reckon maybe that's what's the trouble now. Shucks. Witches ain't got no power in the daytime. Well, that's so. I didn't think of that. Oh, I know what the matter is. What a blamed lot of fools we are. You got to find out where the shadow of the limb falls at midnight, and that's where you dig. Then consound it. We fooled away all this work for nothing. Now hang it all. We got to come back in the night. It's an awful long way. Can you get out? I bet I will. We've got to do it tonight, too. Because if somebody sees these holes, they'll know in a minute what's here and they'll go for it. Well, I'll come around and mow tonight. All right, let's hide the tools in the bushes. We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care and thanks again.